Alex, is the Job Guide 360 interview guide worth it?
Honestly, yes, the guide is highly insightful. I recommend
Welcome
it to everyone.
Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're tackling something huge, cracking the code on Apple interviews. We've gone through a ton of material, guides really, aimed at people trying to land a job there.
Right. And our goal here is basically to give you a shortcut. We've distilled the key thinking, the philosophy behind how Apple hires.
And what really jumps out from all this is that it's not just about your technical chops, is it?
Not at all. The big takeaway, honestly, is that they're evaluating who you are when things get tough. It's about showing how you think on your feet, how you work with others, especially under pressure.
That's the core idea we're digging into. We're pulling together insights on Apple's values, the kind of prep you absolutely need to do, and just how unpredictable their whole hiring pipeline can actually be. This is based on official stuff and what candidates have reported.
Yeah, we're mapping it out for you.
Okay, so let's start with the foundation. Apple's culture.
It all circles back to their mission, right? Delivering the best user experience possible. Everything stems from that.
And that connects directly to their stated values: innovation, collaboration, inclusion, diversity, all focused on that user experience goal.
Exactly. So when you prepare your stories, your examples, they need to echo that commitment to quality and those values. It can't just be generic stuff.
But here's a really interesting wrinkle we found, something that can make it kind of confusing for applicants.
You mean the decentralization?
Yeah, exactly. Apple teams apparently operate in a very decentralized way. It's not like one standard hiring process fits all.
Which means the experience can vary wildly depending on which team you're interviewing with. Each one has its own sort of mini culture, its own technical hurdles, its own way of working.
That makes you wonder, though, doesn't it? If every team is doing its own thing, how do they keep that famous Apple consistency, that unified feel?
Well, that's where the process itself seems to come in. Candidates consistently report it being long, sometimes like over 2 months.
Wow, that's quite a commitment.
It is. And it suggests that this length, this intensity, it's part of the screening. Because teams are autonomous, they need to assess more than just your skills for that specific team.
They're looking for broader things.
Right. Cultural fit across Apple, how you communicate when things aren't clear, your decision-making process, how you collaborate, skills you need to, work effectively between those different teams.
Okay, so that explains why you hear about so many stages. Take-home projects, maybe?
Definitely take-home sometimes. Multiple virtual interviews are common. And then those legendary on-site loops, which can be hours long, digging into everything.
Right, the marathon sessions. Okay, so given all that complexity, where does someone even begin preparing? The guides we looked at were pretty clear on the starting point.
Yeah, they emphasize 2 main research steps before you even think about behavioral questions or coding practice.
What's step 1?
Step 1 is just total ecosystem immersion. You absolutely have to know their core products: iPhone, Mac, iPad, the watch, and the big services like Apple Music, iCloud. Know them really well.
Not just as a user, presumably.
No, deeper than that. And critically, you need to research where they're going. What are the big bets? Think AR, VR, AI. Their moves in health tech. You need to understand the trajectory.
And beyond the tech, there's the identity piece, too.
Huge. You have to get familiar with Apple's official stance on the big defining issues. Privacy is massive, obviously.
Yeah.
Accessibility, diversity, their environmental initiatives. These aren't just PR, they shape product decisions. You need to speak that language.
Okay, so immerse in the ecosystem and the values. What's step 2?
Step 2 is getting specific about the role in the team. You have to dig deeper than the job description. If you possibly can, find out about that specific team's mission. What are their current challenges?
What tools are they using?
Exactly. What frameworks? What does success actually look like in the first 6 months or the first year in that role? Knowing that lets you tailor everything you say. It shows you've really done your homework for them, not just for Apple in general.
That makes sense. Okay, let's shift gears to the behavioral side. This seems like a major hurdle. The guides stressed having stories ready.
Oh, absolutely. You need, say, 4 to 6 really solid, impactful stories. And they must be structured using the STAR method.
Let's quickly break that down. STAR is
Situation, task, action, result. It's a classic framework, but it forces you to be structured, clear, and complete in your answers. No rambling.
But the guides added another layer, didn't they? Something about metric.
Yes, the metric mandate, as we started calling it. This was maybe the single most emphasized point for behavioral answers.
Meaning,
if you talk about something you achieved, you have to quantify it. Vague statements don't cut it. You need hard numbers, measurable outcomes for every single story.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Instead of saying, I improved the process, you need to say something like, I reduced build latency by 30%, or my optimization saved the project an estimated $50,000. See the difference? Numbers make the impact concrete.
Got it. Quantify everything. And what kinds of stories should you prepare? What themes are they looking for?
Well, they map back to those Apple values. Definitely leadership, maybe times you led without having the formal title, or you pushed a new idea forward.
Okay, leadership. What else?
Conflict or disagreement. How did you handle a tough stakeholder or a technical debate where people disagreed strongly? Adaptability is key too. When did requirements suddenly change? Or you hit unexpected roadblocks? How did you adjust?
What about mistakes? Do you need a failure story?
Absolutely. A time you messed up, but crucially, what you learned and how quickly you pivoted or fixed it. And finally, customer focus. A story where you really went the extra mile for the end user, thinking beyond just the code or the immediate task.
And all this prep leads up to handling those classic fit questions.
Exactly. The forces suggest you're almost guaranteed to get asked. Why Apple? Which is your favorite Apple product and why?
The fanboy filter questions.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
But they're deeper than that. They're testing if you've actually thought about the company's philosophy, its strategic choices, its ethical lines, not just whether you like shiny gadgets. A good answer shows that you get the why behind Apple, not just the what.
It's about alignment with a deeper identity. Makes sense. Okay, let's talk technical prep. Obviously, this varies a lot by role, but are there common threads?
Definitely. Strong fundamentals are non-negotiable. Data structures, algorithms, you have to know that stuff cold. For many roles, system design is also critical.
And coding challenges. Platforms like LeetCode.
Yes, practice is essential. But the key insight from the sources is how you practice. It's not just about solving the problem.
What else is there?
They're watching your process. Is your code clear? Is it correct? Do you think about edge cases? And critically, can you talk through your thought process clearly while you're coding? They're evaluating how you think as much as the final code.
So narrate your problem solving out loud.
You got it. And for more senior roles, that system design discussion gets really intense. It's not theoretical. They want to see if you can grapple with the real-world trade-offs involved in building systems at Apple's massive scale, where reliability, user experience, and that tight hardware-software integration are paramount. You need to discuss trade-offs, constraints, potential failure points.
And what about your past work? Your own projects?
Be ready for a deep dive there too. Why did you choose this framework over that one? What technical debt did you encounter? What were the specific optimizations you made? And link those back to the metrics you achieved.
It all connects back. So let's quickly map out the typical recruitment journey, remembering it can vary.
Right. It usually starts with resume screening. Your resume needs to be concise, focused on achievements, and packed with those metrics we talked about.
Then likely a recruiter call.
Yeah. A recruiter phone screen, usually pretty short, maybe 15, 30 minutes. It's an initial check for basic fit, salary expectations, and general alignment with the culture.
After that, maybe a technical task.
Could be. Sometimes there's a take-home assessment, might be coding, could be a design task, or some kind of problem-solving exercise.
And then the interviews proper.
Usually virtual interviews come next, maybe 1 or 2 rounds with people who are experts in your specific domain. They'll go deeper technically.
Leading up to the main event.
The on-site or final interview loop. This is the big one. Could be anywhere from, say, 3 to maybe even 8 separate interviews, potentially all in one day.
8 interviews, wow.
Yeah, it can be intense. It's usually a mix, more technical deep dives, system design sessions, and definitely more behavioral interviews digging into those star stories. And remember, that decentralization, the exact mix depends heavily on the team.
You need stamina and adaptability for sure. Okay, let's talk about a specific type of question that seems designed to test something beyond just skills or experience the critical thinking and ambiguity questions.
Yes, the curveballs. These are fascinating. They really push you to think on your feet and communicate clearly, often outside your comfort zone.
Like what? Give us an example.
Okay, so to test communication, they might ask something like, explain RAM to a 5-year-old.
Okay, that forces simplicity and clarity.
Exactly. Or to test structured thinking under weird constraints. How would you test a toaster?
Right, the infamous toaster question. They don't want the answer, they want your methodical approach to testing, right?
Yeah.
User scenarios, edge cases, safety.
Precisely. And for roles with more strategic scope, you might get something like, Is Apple's strict App Store review policy a competitive advantage or disadvantage? Why?
That requires weighing business strategy, user trust, developer relations, complex stuff.
And the sources gave some good pointers on how to approach these, especially the tricky ethical or design scenarios. Like, imagine a new feature idea that could potentially compromise user privacy.
What's the wrong answer there?
Just saying, no, we can't do that isn't enough. Or worse, just saying, yes, let's do it.
So what's the right approach?
It's about showing nuanced thinking. You'd want to say something like, okay, I see the value in this feature, but I have concerns about privacy implications X and Y. We should explore technical mitigations like data anonymization or making it strictly opt-in. Let's bring in the legal and security teams early to assess the risks and ensure we maintain user trust. You show you can balance innovation with responsibility.
You're demonstrating collaborative problem solving and alignment with core values like privacy.
Exactly. Or take that testing example, say testing a prototype device. A good answer isn't just, I'd see if it turns on.
It needs layers.
Right. You talk about plan, functional testing first, then usability testing, maybe with mock users, thinking about accessibility.
Yeah.
Then stress testing, extreme temperatures, battery drain scenarios, dropping it, testing the edges. It shows structured, thorough thinking.
Okay, super practical. Any final tips for the actual interview day itself? Mindset, logistics.
Yeah, a few key things. Always prepare 3 to 5 really thoughtful questions for them. Not just, what's the culture like? Ask about the team's biggest challenges, their roadmap for the next year, how they measure success for this specific role.
Show you're thinking strategically about fitting in.
Exactly. Also, if a question feels ambiguous, and some are designed to be, don't just guess. Ask clarifying questions. Are we assuming X constraint? Or what's the primary goal here? It shows you don't rush into assumptions.
Think out loud too, right? We mentioned that for coding.
Absolutely. Let them hear your thought process, even for behavioral or hypothetical questions. And always try to close strong.
How do you do that?
After you've answered a question, especially a complex one, pause and ask something like, does that answer your question fully? Or, would you like me to elaborate on any specific part of that? It shows confidence and gives them a chance to steer if needed.
Nice touch. Okay, let's try to wrap this up. After sifting through all this guidance, what's the absolute core message for someone prepping for Apple?
I think it boils down to this balance between depth and breadth. You absolutely need the deep technical expertise for your role. That's non-negotiable.
The depth?
But you equally need the breadth. Adaptability, strong communication skills, the ability to solve ambiguous problems, and genuine alignment with their culture and values. Oh, and practice. Mock interviews are crucial for refining all of this. Authenticity comes through when you're polished, but not robotic.
Depth and breadth polished through practice.
Got it. So let's leave our listeners with something provocative to think about, drawing from the sources.
Okay, so we talked about how Apple's internal environment can be, ambiguous. Sometimes you're working on top secret projects with very little documentation or formal guidance. High ambiguity.
Right, needing to figure things out on your own.
But at the same time, Apple holds incredibly strict, publicly stated core values, especially around things like user privacy and ethical responsibility, where there's absolutely zero room for error.
So you have this tension.
Operate
in ambiguity, but adhere perfectly to rigid ethical standards. Exactly. So the final question for you, the listener, to ponder is, how do you prepare yourself to navigate that? How do you balance pushing innovation forward quickly and confidentially while always upholding those critical ethical responsibilities, especially when the internal rulebook might be incomplete or even seem contradictory?
That ability to self-regulate, to make the right call under pressure with incomplete information, that seems like the ultimate test they're looking for.
It really might be. Definitely something to reflect on as you craft those stories and prepare your mindset.
Excellent point to end on. Thanks for breaking all that down.
My pleasure. Good stuff to chew on.
Absolutely. Thanks everyone for joining us on the deep dive. We'll